Welcome to Inside Startup Investing, the only podcast where you can invest in every guest. On this episode, I will be speaking with the founder and CEO of BabyQuip, Fran Maier. You can currently invest in BabyQuip on Start Engine until December 9th, 2025. Have you ever found yourself headed out on vacation with your little kids and realize that 90% of the car is jam-packed with baby equipment, from pack and plays to toys and high chairs? I've experienced that plenty the past few years with 2 under 3 in my household, and know what a painful experience it can be trying to pack and navigate vacations and family visits with little ones. Enter BabyQuip. Think Airbnb for baby equipment. Imagine heading out on vacation, and when you get there, you have a pack and play, some toys, and a high chair for your messy eater, all delivered to your door. Sounds like a game changer, right? Well, this team has been at it for nearly 10 years now and has built a phenomenal company firing on all cylinders. The first thing you need to take away from this episode is that Fran is a powerhouse founder and executive. In fact, back in 1994, she was a co-founder of Match.com, leading the revolution in online dating. At every stop, she has performed time and again. I know Fran fairly well because we were already investors at Kingscrowd Capital, and I've followed her story from nearly the start. All she has done is execute. For instance, when I first started speaking with her in 2021, she had $1.5 million in revenue. Then in 2022, she hit $3.4 million. And last year, she and her team surpassed $6 million in revenue, all the while becoming the household trusted brand in the space they created. Now she and her team are rolling out with one of the largest travel booking companies in the world, but I'll let her tell you more about that. As for the expansion, she and her team have a long road of growth opportunities ahead, from becoming a mainstream category for purchase on booking sites, to growing internationally, to bringing in new mobility-focused categories under the GoQuip brand they are launching. This is a team that is building one piece at a time and stacking wins, which is having a compounding effect on revenues. So if you're looking to invest in a category-defining company, solving a massive pain point with a proven operator who has done nothing other than continue to grow this business by millions year after year, then stay tuned to get all the details from Fran herself. With that, let's get on to the show and welcome Fran. And as a reminder, if you want to invest, you still can on startengine.com. Since the last time you've been here, I'd love to get kind of some of the highlights. I think it's been about a year and a half or so of the things you all are working on and progress on kind of the growth front.
Yeah, excited to share. In fact, we really turned the corner this last quarter, our first quarter of profitability. We've had months here and there that were profitable, but to have a full quarter on the books, really, really exciting. Now, I have to say, it's driven by both growth. We were up, double digits. I think the number's about 17% in Q3. But we took down our spending quite a bit. And so working it on both sides. And that's very exciting. The second thing that's really exciting is we signed a deal with Vrbo. It was announced in September, and it's already available in all the U.S. So if you go to Vrbo and you rent a place, you'll be presented with BabyQuip, not just for baby gear, but for beach and pet gear too.
Oh, that's really cool. So you've expanded into going beyond just baby gear now.
Yeah, and we're working on a greater expansion, probably launch more new categories on BabyQuip at the end of this year. Mobility is really the one that we're focused on. So that's for people with disabilities and older people, wheelchairs, walkers, strollers, things like that. And, it's an underserved market, just like parents with babies were underserved.
Prior to your VRBO expansion, which I'd love to dive in on, what has been the key to growing the business? Is it new geographies? Is it just getting more users and more providers? What does that look like?
First of all, one of the best things of all is we've got an over 90 net promoter score. So out of the gate, and that's world class. And out of the gate, that means that people really want to tell other people about BabyQuip. And I think that's that organic, right now, organic and direct unpaid media is about 68%
Wow.
of our traffic. So that's really, really fantastic. That's been growing demand for us. In the US, we pretty much have supply, you know. And when we brought on Vrbo, we had to make sure that we had supply in their key markets, and we did, so that was really kind of terrific. Internationally, yeah, it's building supply, but right now we're focused just on Mexico and the Caribbean, and we've got a good supply network in Canada. I think it's still getting more awareness out to people about BabyQuip, because once they know about us and they see how well we serve our customers, they're eager to try us. I can't remember, Chris. Do you have small children?
I do. I have two small children.
That's what I thought. So you know what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah, 100%. So, you grew from 4.6 million in sales in 23 up to 6 million in 24. Would love to hear how you're doing this year. And now you bring on kind of this VRBO partner.
Yeah.
What does VRBO do for you from a revenue perspective? What are your thoughts on what you think adoption could look like in that channel?
Yeah. So we're trending to about 22 and a half of GMV this year, which will generate about 7 million, 7.1, 7.2. I mean, if our transportation system shuts down, that might have a negative impact, right? But that's what we're looking at now, about 7 million. Next year, we think partnerships, including Vrbo, will drive about 6 million in GMV, maybe 2 million in incremental revenue. But I think Vrbo does a lot for us beyond that. It gets us in front of more people. It's definitely part of a awareness build that I think we're going to get out of it. Also, these new categories, pet and beach, and potentially mobility, sometime next year will be exciting for us with them. They're a good partner also because, their brand is very much a family-oriented brand, number one. And number two, they're part of Expedia. So we're hoping to expand into other parts there. So far, they're very pleased. They've shared with us that, their customers are really happy. It's helping with the booking experience. And honestly, I think they and we all agree that parents kind of need, or families need, baby gear more than they need a masseuse to come to their vacation rental.
Yes, I would certainly agree with that. It's at least more of a necessity, right? It might not be the want, but it's certainly the necessity. What's interesting about what you're building is that it's a wholly new category, right? People always love to try and put market sizes on things. And that may be a challenge for folks with this one because you're quite literally creating the market for, rental equipment at vacation rentals and hotels for, folks who are traveling with little kids. When you think about the addressable market opportunity for you all, how big could this thing be based on what all you've seen?
Yeah, well, I mean, recently, last month, I went to the Skift travel market, travel conference, Skift, SKIFT, and they reminded me that U.S. travel is $2.4 trillion. Okay. I mean, it is second, I think they said, only to households in terms of the size of the market. And yes, I think it's somewhat dependent upon the economy, but coming out of the pandemic, people really, really want to travel. So we think our addressable market, including the mobility, is somewhere between 35 and 45 billion. There's a lot of multi-generational trips. 65% of U.S. travelers are over 50. Now, I'm 63. I don't need a walker or a wheelchair. So, let's hold off on that. But, a lot of that segment doesn't even travel because there's not solutions to their transportation and mobility needs. So like with BabyQuip, a lot of families wouldn't travel, but now that we're around, they're going to travel more. And that's something that I think these partnerships really recognize. And, Average order size for baby gear, just under $200. We've got a lot of people who rent, honestly, into the thousands of dollars of gear, mostly like football players going to a new city. We think we've got a lot of upward potential, and more than that, we dominate the category. I mean, I think it would be very difficult for anybody to come and overtake us. Not just because we have the supply, we have over 3,200 quality providers at this point in time, but also because of the exceptional trust and safety program that we've built up. That takes time and money to really invest in. And it would be difficult for anybody else to come in and have that experience and be able to afford the insurance and the other things that we do.
Massive category then in the billions of dollars. But I'm sure folks would be happy, if they're getting in when you're doing 7 million of revenue. It's if you got to 70 million or 100 million, that would be a tremendous outcome for folks.
100 million, by 28, 29. And the way we're going to get there is these partnerships. So Vrbo has opened up the door to conversations with hotels, other vacation rental companies, and so on. We're going to get there through just growing our base business, GoQuip, and then ultimately, and I think partially because of the partnerships, we're going to have to go more global and spend some money in that direction as well.
Now, you mentioned GoQuip. So is that a brand you're using to market all of the other services?
That's what we're calling the categories, mostly mobility, that are not baby gear. And yes, I've already bought the URL and doing the trademark stuff and all of that. So,
are there any frictions that you have seen that at times can limit people's adoption of your service, having to maybe drive to the home of the provider, or I don't know. I'm curious to hear from you. What are the things that come up that could be a limiting factor to more people adopting and using your service?
Most of the time, if they hear about us, they love us. I think airports and car seats is still something we'd like to make more seamless. And the problem is getting into airports. They're all separate municipalities, but we're toying around with looking at, Anaheim, Orlando, Honolulu, maybe doing something to make it a little bit more easy there. I think big cities, big dense cities, and that includes, for example, New York and probably some of the international spots, are harder to serve because our supply base, which are mostly quality providers, are mostly moms. They store their gear in their garages. In those big dense cities, there's not really that space. So I think there's new ways to look at the model, and we're going to be exploring some of those new approaches. And then mobility, we're going to have to get into some of this equipment is highly specialized, big, bulky. Your standard wheelchair, not so much, but a scooter or a motorized wheelchair probably requires that we're going to be working with businesses, not just individuals as part of our supply network.
Yeah, no, I could certainly see that. You're raising $3 million right now. Where are you investing those dollars to kind of take you to the next level?
Yeah, some of it's into developing the GoQuip line, little product management, some design work, some market research, changing the onboarding to get businesses on, which are a little bit of a different animal. Some of it's growth. So, we know that our marketing efficiency ratio is 4. That means basically for every dollar we spend, we get $4 more in revenue. So we want to continue to cost effectively build growth. And then we'd like to do some testing on awareness and some of these initiatives I was mentioning, such as, going deeper into Orlando and some of these other markets.
I'd love to understand a little more about your providers. There have been recent things that have come out for Airbnb and Vrbo that, I think for some of the folks offering these services, the quality of earnings and the effort involved with Airbnbs and whatnot has gone down. It be based on the experience of working with those platforms. Your providers, on average, how much are they making? How satisfied are they?
Yeah, we're having what we call QP month this month, where we spend the whole month on a lot of training, everything on safety and cleaning to hospitality to how to do your social media and stuff like that. Our churn rate is only 16%, and that's well under churn for most marketplaces. Our overall take rate's about 31%, which is pretty high. But I think they accept that because we give them insurance, and that's really, really important to them. So I think overall, in fact, we're doing a survey and it's not done. So this is based on maybe 125 or so responses. But top two box, 80% satisfaction, highly or very satisfied. So I'm feeling like they're in pretty good shape. They're making good money, about $1,500-$1,600 a month more, and that skews to the higher travel months,
Mm-hmm.
holidays, and so on. And they're building their businesses. They're investing in more cribs and car seats and strollers, and so that's a good sign too. So I'm not so worried about that supply network. The new supply network is going to create some interesting opportunities and challenges, I'm sure.
Certainly. Um, Diving just slightly deeper on the VRBO relationship, I know a lot of times when you go and you start working with a really big organization, they're not privy to just turn you on to the whole universe. They want to be careful with rolling you out. Is that the same with VRBO, and thus in thinking about how large the, gross sales can be through that channel could be dramatically larger than what you might see next year?
So we actually launched in pilot in June and didn't expand until we announced it in September nationally. We are talking about maybe going to Canada and expanding into some other geographies. So, and as I said, into Expedia and other things like that. It took a while to get the contract and to get all the terms done. I mean, I won't kid you, but they're happy with it. We're happy with it. It's in the market. I think it creates a template. There's other opportunities right now. It's, you book on Vrbo, then you see BabyQuip, and as a Vrbo customer, you'll be presented with BabyQuip and other parts. But ultimately, with any partner, we'd like to be part of the booking flow. So we'd like it to be part of the checkout process. Here's your house, add your stroller, your high chair, whatever. That might take a while to deepen the integration, but that's what we're looking to try and make happen.
I like that. I think that makes a ton of sense. And I'm sure the conversion numbers on being in the checkout flow versus the add-on after could be a lot higher. Which makes me curious in terms of those partnerships you talk about, like credit cards, who have their own travel booking platforms, all of that. Are those also opportunities for you?
Yes, yes. In fact, we're trying to get earlier in, just like getting in the car, getting earlier and earlier in the travel booking flow and
Mm-hmm.
look at some opportunities there. You know, AI is moving very fast, but agentic AI is probably a big opportunity for us too. So, and that's, AI has been super exciting for us. I mean, I'm sure everybody's saving money on just doing things faster because of AI, and that's
Mm-hmm.
great. But people are going to AI like they're going to search engines more and more. And we know that I think the creative benefit of being a brand that's been around for 9 years, being loved by our customers, having, SEO and leadership. When people go to AI, they're finding BabyQuip. And that's one reason why we're able to get so much market efficiency.
For those, who haven't experienced the brand, maybe are hearing about you for the first time, if it's possible, of course, on an anonymized basis, can you talk to like a story of where BabyQuip just like really helped out and what that looked like for that customer, that client?
Oh God, we hear it all the time because customers, what they say is we saved the vacation or came to the rescue. So, for example, oftentimes people will rent a car seat from the rental car and rental car agency and find that it's disgusting.
Hmm.
And they'll call us, and we do some same day. I mean, it might be a little bit of an extra surcharge, especially to the airport, but we'll come with a really nice, clean, and satisfactory car seat. Same thing with cribs at hotels. Either the cribs are disgusting, or the hotel said that they had a crib, but really they had a pack and play. And some families just really don't do that. I know another person whose baby just wouldn't sleep, and we delivered a snoo. For your benefit of your audience, is like a smart bassinet. And if your baby's kind of hooked on the snoo, well, you're kind of hooked on the snoo too. It's kind of what it comes down to. But let me tell you, on the other side, on the quality provider side, there were two posts that came out this last week. It's QP week, so QP month, so we're engaged with the community quite a lot. And I was so pleased that a woman identified herself as being neurodivergent, and that she came through the BabyQuip program to be a quality provider, and it's really made a positive difference in her life. And she's interacting with more people. She's learning how to do things. Her business is growing, and that just really made me gratified.
I love that.
Yeah.
You've been at this, as you mentioned, for 9 years, creating the category, creating the company. What have been some unexpected challenges that you've found along the way in building this organization?
Well, okay, we went through a pandemic. Yeah, so, I guess everybody gets the pandemic one, especially if you're in travel. But what made that super hard for us is our Shark Tank episode aired on March 6, 2020.
Oh my gosh.
So we had this big expectation. And March is usually a very strong month because of spring break and Easter and other holidays. So, instead of having this big ramp up, the next week California closed and all we got were cancellations.
Ugh,
I mean, so
killer.
that was killer. You know, Getting that insurance policies, really big challenge. I took a lot. And to do it, we had to build an inventory management system so we could pull anything that was recalled really quickly. We had to do background checks on all the quality providers. And to get Vrbo, they wanted us to do even more, including the ISO 27001 security certification, which, companies need to do at some point. It was a little early in our evolution, but obviously for a partnership like that, we're going to do what we need to do.
For those folks who are on the line, thinking about investing, they're not quite there yet, I'll give you the last word. What do you want them to know?
Hey, this is a good deal. I mean, this is the same price per share as it was in 2023. The reason why we didn't increase it, despite the fact that we have Vrbo now and our profitability is definitely in the picture, is I just want to put some fundraising behind me so we continue to execute a BabyQuip, get GoQuip up and going, and get more partnerships.
If you like what you heard on the show today, you can check out why BabyQuip received a 4.5 out of 5 on a proprietary rating scale at Kingscrowd.com. You can also invest on Start Engine with a minimum investment of $499 until December 9th, 2025. And as always, if you liked what you heard on the show today, please, please, please like, subscribe, and share our podcast wherever you listen so more investors like you can